people used to learn software to be productive, but AI flipped the game completely opposite.
We have to develop LLMs of our own.
Next large step towards making India a leader in the AI and LLM space.
Is it going to be accountable?
What we'll do today is that we'll just talk about the AI, LLM and the disruptive capabilities and disruption in the tech space that DeepSeek had created, I would say now, because it came and went like a cold in the changing weather, which all of us, I think North Indianites are very, very aware of. So just to start with, I'm sure just to set the context right, as I said, the AI landscape in the country have, done a lot of disruptions in last few years, especially this DeepSeek coming in, Chinese AI company coming in January, announcing their game-changing technology and then kind of fizzing it out from the scene very, very quickly. But however, we have a lot of work that is happening within the Indian scenario as well. As Mr. Abhishek Singh also told in his talk, that the India AI mission is the India's next large step towards making India a leader in the AI and LLM space. Along with that, Ministry of Science and Technology has also launched something called the Jain, the first government-funded multimodal LLM initiative. And this is being done in support with IIT Mumbai. Then even the corporates are not far behind in this. I'm sure a lot of you would know that Telecom has announced a project Indus, which is aimed at creating the Indic-based foundational model supporting 40 Hindi dialects. As we, in India, in Hindi, there's a very old saying that "Har 5 kos pe bani badle 50 kos pe vani." So we have so many dialects here in India across our length and breadth of the country, and what they are trying to do is have a different dialect being recognized and then identified and converted that into LLM space, doing that. And last but by no means the least, and one of the largest initiative by government is the India AI project, for which Mr. Abhishek Singh is the CEO also, which he just mentioned. And they have dedicated $1.25 billion in next 3 years to get this advancement done in India AI story. And not just that, I'm like, nobody is behind in this. Reliance Industries chairman, Mr. Mukesh Ambani, recently announced GeoBrain, which is another move towards AI technology. They are also, as Mr. Abhishek Singh also mentioned, they have also signed up a deal with NVIDIA to get their latest AI-based chipsets into India and set up a data center with almost 18,000 GPU capacity for them, which is huge. Right now, there's no data center which would support more than 1,000 GPUs at one go, because GPU is very costly, very process hungry processor. So these are some of the things that we have. We also have human-centric considerations across this technology, as they say, the skill upgrade and upskilling is a huge challenge. Displacement of some of the skills is a huge challenge. Data privacy and sovereignty is a huge challenge that we have. Then the ethical AI development or the ethical use of AI is another huge challenge that we have. Some of the limitations, as I mentioned, are the infra availability, the GPU availability, the funds availability, the skill set availability, local skill set availability, regulatory framework and concerns. So these are a lot of challenges that we'll be discussing in today's discussion. And but as we delve into the complexities of AI and LLMs, it's essential to, as I said, remember the human touch of it as well. it is not that the AI will be driving the humans, but it will be the humans who are aware of AI will be driving the world. Because there are always limitations and challenges. As I was sharing with some of the friends in the morning, recently there was a picture of a cat sitting on a mat shown to AI, and was asked to identify, wherein all AI identified was a furry object on a textured surface. So that is the limit, and unless until there is a human angle involved to it, I'm not sure how much AI is effective. It's definitely a very, very useful tool. But having said that, without any further ado, let me start taking the views from the panelists that we have today. I'm sure there's some panelists short and couldn't make it today, but we'll try and delve into these topics that we've identified as much as possible. So very first, let me start with asking Mr. Anurag Jain on whether AI is a boon or a bane for the tech revolution, and especially in the light of meteoric rise on DeepSeek. And on the DeepSeek part, I'll also bring in some other panelists. And what are some of its implications or something that needs to be afraid of in terms of the AI or the LLM coming in and adoption of the pace of AI adoption that is there in the country right now? So, Mr. Jain, your thoughts, please.
Okay. First of all, good morning, friends. Namaskar. I think Abhishek Singh ji in the morning set the stage in a very nice way with his keynote. And thank you, Nitin, for taking that segue. I think we are beyond a point where we think whether AI is real, whether it is happening. All of us, and I see mix of crowd with youngsters, and some of you have been in this industry and the ecosystem. I would say that it is definitely a boon for companies, for people who have adopted it well, who have upskilled themselves, and then are able to leverage the technology to create a business impact. There are enough examples. I was amazed by the example Ashish Singh ji was sharing in the morning about the traffic. We don't realize such a simple use case, but I'm sure that there's a lot which is running in the back end. We are using it on our day-to-day life. It's a very simple example, but there are hundreds and thousands of such examples where AI is already touching our lives. So I think it is definitely a boon for the entire industry, for the entire society. It will become a pain, Nitin, for teams or people who do not upgrade themselves in time. So, I come from the high-tech and telecom industry, more on engineering and R&D side, and I can say that this is not a disruption from 2G to 5G or 6G. This is very different. This is like imbibing a new way of working. So it is not something additional or good to have anymore. So whether it is a design that we do, whether it is a deployment that we do, whether it is reverse engineering that we do, whether it is a use case development that we do, today right from the proposal stage to the implementation stage, AI is part of everything. And I think all of us are making use of it. So I would just leave it at that, Nitin. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anurag. I think I completely echo your thoughts, and as you mentioned, I also mentioned, it's not that AI will replace humans, but it will replace people who don't know AI or don't take up the AI in that manner. So completely appreciate that. And moving forward, I think there's a huge buzzword in the industry today about DeepSeek. What is DeepSeek about, and what has been the DeepSeek revolution, and it is still on, not there, how it has impacted the AI landscape across the world. And so for that, I would like to bring Mr. Shubhradeep Nandi into the conversation and request him to share his thoughts on what DeepSeek buzz is all about. How did it come, where, what stage does it stand right now? And also, if you can share your thoughts on what is difference between the DeepSeek revolution and the normal AI revolution, and what does the future hold for us in terms of LLM?
Okay. Very good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for bringing the wonderful panelists and you wonderful audience out here together in one platform. Okay, morning, I believe all of you are enlightened with what Abhishek ji has said, how we are progressing as a country. And I think Nitin, Anurag, both of them have actually touched very pertinent parts of that. Saying that, we would also dive into this DeepSeek revolution, what it is, right? So it is a classic case where a constraint led to a frugal innovation and which shook the world, right? So there are three pieces out here. So first of all, there is governance and policy, there is AI innovators, and then there is market. So what happened over here? So firstly, let us take the governance and policy. So there was a US regulation which mandated that GPUs which are high end need not be exported to China. So NVIDIA created H800 GPUs which are a crippled version of H100 and H200, which means that it has actually brought down the computing capacity, and based on the regulation, those only were getting exported to China. Now, the AI innovators in China, they understood that this is a constraint and they need to overcome this, right? So what did they do? So they did two things. They took what is available, H800 GPUs, 2048 of them, clustered it together, and then they realized that, okay, this H800 GPUs has limitations. It will not give me the next state of next SOTA for me. So how do I go ahead and do some more innovation on top of it? So what did they do there is that they took the original transformer architecture, which is basically the basis of your GPTs or generative pre-trained transformer that you all use in form of ChatGPT, which is running in the back end. So they took it and they tweaked it. So what did they tweak, right? So if you see ChatGPT and the GPT-4 which is running behind, that is basically a monolithic architecture, somewhere around a thousand trillion primarily parameters which are activated when a query is sent towards it. Now they realize that, okay, I have this limited GPU, what should I do? I have to then ensure that I do not activate the complete computational block and I take fractions out of it and work on top of it. So that is where they took out they changed the architecture to something called mixture of experts, which essentially took only those computational blocks which are required for the query which was thrown to it, and this ensured that in almost 55 days they're able to train it, and at a 1/10 cost of what the Western, I would say, the counterpart had built, they were able to build it. So this is how they led this whole revolution, which we call as a DeepSeek revolution. And if you would have seen how it impacted the market, so Jan 2020, this was released. So DeepSeek V3 was released in December, DeepSeek R1 released in January, and these are primarily the direct competitors for ChatGPT 4o, and R1 was a direct in competition with primarily your O1. So what essentially happened over here is that now you really don't need high-end GPUs anymore to build your foundational large language models. This impacted the market in US, and over $1 trillion money was wiped out in a single day on Jan Jan 27th this year. So this brings out to us to this key aspect that yes, I mean, you don't need huge amount of money to build these foundational models. You can still build them frugally. So this opened up an opportunity. Also, this architecture is available in public, so you can basically take it up and build your own systems. Now, what is the implication probably for government and primarily for the private players in India? Now, I think AI has, as my co-panelist was speaking, that it is real today, right? It's no more something which is going to happen in future. It's right now happening. While we all are sitting over here, somebody is building something out there, right? So what we are essentially trying to put forward here is that absolutely this is the right time to pick up the technology, build it for yourself, experience it, and you would see these three blocks out there: the foundational LLM, the agentic framework, and the agents, which are going to play a big role in your AI journey. With this, probably I will stop and let the further discussions take ahead on this.
Thank you so much for this insight. And yes, so the basic purpose was to understand what DeepSeek is all about. Is that just a hype or a reality, or is that going to change the actual revolution that's going to happen? So very clearly, as Shubhradeep mentioned, I think it was just a hype and not too much going in there. You want to add something to it?
Yeah, I would like to just add to what Shubhradeep said. So definitely like Shubhradeep mentioned, right? DeepSeek is a moment where technology will always be an enabler, right? Just to touch upon how Anurag was also mentioning. But why does this matter is very important for all of us to understand. Because technology for the sake of technology has no meaning if it does not give a value to humans, right? Now what DeepSeek has conveyed is it's possible, just like solar has been for a lot of years, a technology where we know at very super cheap sunlight we can harness and generate energy. It is possible to actually bring the costs down so that we can actually power up our homes. That's exactly what DeepSeek has enabled to say. Suddenly the cost of AI could be such that it can be a commodity, it can be at a very cheap price, like how Anurag has been mentioning, like less than dollar is significantly a costly unit economics to make AI to be very cheaply available. But what this innovation that happened in the last 4 years that we talk about AI journey, right, is very significant because it opens up barriers where we see future to be all pervasive, AI as similar to how electricity, water that we treat as commodity or something that we accept to be available, a moment where we can see a future where something that's very economically available for us, for humans and for businesses to build on top of it. So that's from fundamental architecture, fundamental way to approach and bring the unit economics down is a very significant improvement. And obviously there are tons of companies which built on top of it to bring that become a lot more economic for us to use AI. So that's why it's very significant for us to understand this is a very big milestone as such. And it feels a long time back, but it's just been 2 months since DeepSeek has happened, and there are tons of innovations already happening to make AI run on edge, AI run on devices, which something was not possible before December, right? So
I think that's great, and my personal opinion, we've given enough time and brain share to DeepSeek, which is not that important and significant in or it has lost its significance in the last few months itself. So moving forward, there's a very, always has been a debate about, should creation of such revolutionized technologies be, proprietary of some of the privileged few, or should everybody be allowed to contribute into it? Something like a commercial and courts and open source space. So I'll let you continue with your thoughts on that, and if you can share, should democratization of AI development will be a good thing for entire AI revolution, especially for the Indian subcontinent? Or should we focus on maturing the AI technologies first and then look at democratization?
I think that's a fantastic, quandary or dilemma. And the way, at least I, in my personal opinion, which majority of the industry experts agree, is AI will be distributed. AI will provide a choice for people, and AI will be a democratized technology, right? That's where we see in the future the evolution of AI is going to be. Now, the point that Nitin brings up is, should this pervasive, life-changing, economy-impacting technology be driven by few proprietary enterprises, or should there be a much more democratized way of doing it? And it actually touches, and the evolution of tech has a very important fundamental principle on where Anurag has touched upon, something that Shubhradeep has started, right? Which starts with regulation and government. Because who controls and what happens to technology, government regulation is going to be a significant role of being open source or proprietary tech, right? Because the three elements of AI are data, model code, and then the parameters that are available, pretty much. Like, these three combination tells how much of this technology can be proprietary versus who controls that. Now, to build something that is iterative, that actually gives value, requires a lot of money, a lot of brain power, which unfortunately or fortunately, both the open source and the closed source has been able to successfully promote. Like, for example, if you look at Mistral or Meta, right? These are like much more open source models where there's a huge amount of investment that's still able to raise and pump in. Similarly, on OpenAI, Anthropic, and the fully proprietary technologies, they're able to put a lot of money and brain power to that, right? Now, the key play here is how fast are people able to contribute and come to the next iteration, which is where there's a lot of collaborative power that comes to building AI technology, and which is where the open source community has been a lot more vocal about it to say, bring something. There's a lot of research collaboration that's happening, enabling a faster development that's possible in this space, right? So definitely an open source model is going to always be, I would say, at the forefront of building the cutting edge, but the way currently the world is at, that people with proprietary tech are actually taking a leap ahead in building state-of-the-art technology. Will it continue? It goes back to the three principles about this technology use. One is it secure? Is it transparent? And is it going to be accountable? So these are the three principles which dictate whether how people will come and sort of look at the level playing field. So the open source community has always been transparent, which means everything is out there. Internal auditors and risk auditors can understand if there is a risk bias, how is the model performing. So that's one element which enables open source platforms to be a lot more trustable and a lot more, I would say, community-led, secure, and accountability to be driven. And the proprietary companies which are actually driving this tech claim that they are going to be a lot more reliable, accountable for that, which is where the regulation and from a regulatory standpoint, they're in a much better position, right? So net-net, what's going to happen is a lot of companies are realizing that, including Google, for example, they made their TensorFlow and platforms open source because innovation happens on that front, and they're closing some of their proprietary tech so that they can actually monetize. Because the key part of this tech is how do they able to sustain and make continued investments in that. And one example I would like to give on that front is Stability AI, which was an open source image diffusion model. 2020, they created an open source model for that, and pretty much like Adobe and Canva has lapped on top of this technology, and they made it mainstream as part of their portfolio. But since then, they've been struggling to actually generate revenue to be staying in the business, right? So it's not about open source versus closed source. Are there business models available which enables people who are building this tech to be able to survive is going to be the future. And in that front, regulation, being able to have the right consumer experience and enabling businesses are going to play a significant big role. And the market is going to be split like how it was in the past era, like Linux versus Windows, Android versus iOS. So it's going to be a rinse and repeat of the same, where businesses who want to be frugal, who want to control data, who want to claim that they are secure, will take some form of open source, customized for their needs, where they know they can put muzzle into that. And there are businesses which want to have support. They want to not worry about taking accountability will use proprietary models, and consumers always will benefit the best of both worlds. So that's how I see the world playing, with a hybrid model of both open source and closed source. And people who are right now starting up businesses, they should be flexible to have both their stacks to be utilized.
Excellent. So I like vanilla, you like butterscotch, whatever suits for us, we pick and choose. So excellent on that, and I completely agree. One of the biggest factors there is the availability of business models, which will kind of drive the growth of these AI models and the LLMs in actually generating the required business output. It is not just about implementing a technology. It's not just about enabling your organization with a buzzword. It's about generating the real life business, solving a business problem using all these business models. So Anurag, I'll come back to you in terms of, what is your thought on what are some of the business models right now that are gaining traction, or that is the need of the hour from the end user perspective, which either are being focused on already, or should be focused upon, or are available in the market to consume, and how is that change happening, or what is the future with regards to these business models looking like?
All right, very important dimension, Nitin. First of all, thank you, Arjun, for bringing the business perspective. See, we are, I'm sitting with the technical gurus here on AI, so we can talk a lot about technology. I think the most important part is, what is the end user getting out of it? What is the business impact? Let me take few examples, if you allow me, Nitin, so that
please.
I think we can, maybe the audience will appreciate it better. That we are in the, I come from the high-tech industry, so we are in the business of developing technology, developing new products for, let's say, telecom and the tech sector. So we were looking at propositions or offerings where we can take AI for telecom. What can I do in AI to accelerate my feature velocity in the products, or improve my quality of the product? Reducing the cost of quality. These are standard imperatives. Any engineering leader you talk to, will say that these are my problems and can you help me? The dimension has reversed in the last few years. Now we are thinking about, what is telecom for AI? So the reason I'm giving this dimension is that AI has become so big that it is even bigger than any vertical today, whether it is telecom or healthcare. If there is a vertical, if there is an industry which does not make use of this basic stuff, will not reap the benefits. So that's number one. Number two, again, I would like to give a practical example. As a business leader, as a P&L leader, what do we think? Apart from the quarter-on-quarter life that we have, is any new proposal that we develop for, it could be fixed price, it could be time and material, it could be risk and reward type of revenue models. From a technology, it could be based on SaaS subscription, it could be license, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, when we go for a new proposal, the first thing that we see today is, what percentage of benefit is the customer getting because of AI? If I represent HCL Tech here, if HCL Tech has to do this project versus our competition, we bring our solution accelerators, we bring our technical expertise, we say we have global labs, we have skilled people, we have all these tools which is available, but all that will only, amount to 20-30% of the differentiation. The main differentiation is coming in terms of what is the AI productivity benefit, or the quality benefit, or the velocity that we can bring it. So just to give you an example, any new proposal that comes to us, I'm part of the board which approves new proposals in the high tech. So any new proposal that comes from our teams today, Nitin, we have different teams at a different maturity levels. You know, some teams are very fast enablers, some teams are not that fast. And this is natural. We are cutting down the effort estimates coming up grounds up by at least 30% before we code it to the customer. And trust me that all the projects that we have delivered, and we are known for that, that all have been delivered on time using the tools that we have. So you can just simply close your eyes, make a 30% cut, and give it to your customer, and it works today. So such is the power of the business model of AI.
So you are the one whom developers hate the most.
Yeah, I mean,
because you make them work overtime and deliver faster.
That's not really true. I think and you know, 70% of our workforce is between 22 to 30 years of age. These are young engineers today who are developing things at a much faster pace than you and I used to do, Arjun. And I'm also learning every day from these youngsters. And all I can say, Nitin, is they are actually, you know, the project managers and the program managers have a lot of questions initially. Can I deliver this project in this time with this cost? But when they see that they are actually getting ahead of the competition by making that happen, the partnerships, you know, the partners, for example, we partner with NVIDIA, we partner with Microsoft, we partner with Google, Amazon. All these companies are so ahead in the game that unless we partner with them, we can't do everything on our own. Yeah. But the engineers also see that unless I move at that pace, unless I make use of that technology, those partners will stop respecting me. So I will automatically be behind the game. So it is the same question that you asked earlier. So I think for us to be part of the vehicle, it is better to adopt it, you know, get ahead of the game, and then the partners automatically follow you.
Can I add to what Anurag is saying?
Please.
So just to add Anurag, what he's saying, and I'll probably give it a different spin, is if you look at how the technology has evolved over the last 30 years, right? It's digitization, automation, and now we're talking about AI. So the world has always been pushing software to companies, right? So people used to learn software to be productive, but AI flipped the game completely opposite, right? Which means there is a computer. AI is actually a computer because it is understanding the intent, it is actually getting you the output, so it's really a computer. Now, the business models that worked before have to be very different from the business models that will work today, right? Because startups that are coming today have a great place to be in, because fundamentally the value that AI will provide, and I'll always tell that AI is like any other technology, is an enabler, right? Which means it should generate value so that people will benefit from it. So if you're able to provide value, the cost of value is something that should be incorporated in the business model. If you look at traditional software, it has always been a licensed-based model. If people using a software, you need to charge it. Those models are going to be outdated, and that's not how the future is going to be, right? So SaaS, which stands for software as a service, is dead, right? It will be dead. If you don't believe in it, it's going to happen. That's number one. Number two is service as a software is going to be reality, which means if you are sitting in a call center, you have to have a business model which talks about, I'm going to improve your CSAT, and every call is what the value you need to bring in, right? So it's going to be an extremely different way of doing business, generating revenue and monetizing it, and that's where AI is going to be a significant role, because AI is the new UI, like how Satya has put it, right? AI is a new UI where anybody can sort of understand a system. So it's not about people training on a system, but using the system to generate a wow customer experience, improving efficiency, reducing cost. That's where the key differentiation is. If people are able to understand that, get that right business model and price it for value, is where the disruption is going to happen.
And Nitin, sorry, this is such an interesting question. Maybe we can. Thank you, Arjun, please. I wanted to add one more dimension, is the Indian context. All of us, most of us sitting here, are Bharat by our heart and soul. And we're proud to be citizens of Bharat today, because the pace at which our country is changing is phenomenal. You know, none of us would have seen this before. Now, Ashish Singh ji talked about data sets of India, languages of India, context of India is very different. The rural population of India is very different than any other country in the world. Now, if you look at we are talking about business model. We as Indians are great at making use of a technology, writing applications. What we have not thought in the past is, can I build that technology? Why not? Today we are building the semiconductor chips. We are creating manufacturing units. So I think I would also join that bandwagon. What Ashish ji said in the morning is, we have to develop LLMs of our own. Unless we create those core technology components, working closely with the ecosystem and the government, the business model of India will not significantly change. I will charge you something, you will charge me something, and we can, make some money out of it. But we can make a lot of development for our people, for our society, if we develop those core components, and then the world comes to us. Because we have the largest data set. I think there are a lot of statistics that the amount of data usage that India has, there is no other country in the world which is even comparable. So we have the largest data, we have the largest population who's actually using the data. All we need is a mindset, a growth mindset, where we can start building those technology. And again, it's easier said than done. All of us have to play a very important role in that.
So I will just take a 20-second on that. I think
please.
very pertinent points which have been made. As a country, right, what is the thing we have been doing? I think very pertinent point, both of them touched. One on the business model and one on the way we have been building things, right? So we have been exporting data and buying intelligence. Now that paradigm should change, right? We have now got the capability, skill, and in fact, Abhishek ji also spoke about the funding which is available. So now things can be built in-house using our own data instead of exporting our data and buying intelligence. I'll probably park it here.
No, I'll just pick it up from what you said and what Anurag and Arjun also mentioned. Let's talk about India growth story in this aspect. And since you've been part of startup, you've been part of corporate, now you're part of the government of Andhra Pradesh. So let me ask you, and as the AdSec in his first session mentioned, I don't think now there is any dearth of funds or support or compute or real life use cases or business models for this particular thing in the country. So where do you see the India growth story in the adoption and innovation of LLM going, and where are we right now, or where are we going to be in future as compared to any of the large players in this segment, let's say the OpenAI or DeepSeek or any of these Geminis of the world?
Yeah, I think, thanks Nitin, a very important question and very pertinent question, right? So where do we stand, and why do we stand where we stand today, right? So one of the key things that we need to understand, we keep on asking ourselves, right, that when will we become equivalent to probably OpenAI of the world, or the Geminis of the world, or the DeepSeek of the world, right? So I think the key point that we have to, all of us who are in the space building, funding, or probably doing policy decisions, right, we should keep on asking ourselves how ambitious we can become. The more and more we become ambitious, I think the goal is not that far. As you have rightly mentioned, I see a hyper growth of AI startups, primarily in the agentic space. Now, what is happening, if you see, there are 3 layers. I'm putting it very simplistically, it's actually not 3 layers, but simplistically put, you have a foundational LLM. On top of it, you have an agentic framework, and then there are people who build agents using the agentic framework. Okay, if it is a little technical, pardon me. What is happening today is that in India, we have lapped up the first layer, right? We have started lapping up the how to build better agents, best agents, right? There is a less ambition to build agentic frameworks. Now, if you see, after DeepSeek, one thing which is catching up very fast is something which you might have seen, Manus AI, right? And that also has some shoots coming from China. Now what is happening there is that the ambition is growing, that we have built DeepSeek, let's go to the next level. I think in India, many companies are on that first level, and with the great push that is coming from the government, where Abhishek ji in the morning spoken about the funding which is happening for building Indic LLMs, I think that push is going to slowly become a reality. And in that, if you see, there are some companies, I think, which you probably would have heard about, Sarvam based out of Bangalore, and Sync, which is basically originated, headquartered in US, but is doing a sync on the videos. They've actually started lapping up Indian data sets and started building up on top of it. So what I essentially see over here, while a lot of flow of intelligence is happening in building agents, I see it coming down to the foundational part as well, where we will have better architectures, efficient architectures, and language models built within India, for India, and the globe.
So can
Please.
I'd like to add a little controversial spin to what pretty much everybody was saying, but
Very happy to add controversy.
obviously the point is to have a conversation. So since this is a DeepSeek named one, I would like to quote Liang Wenfeng, right? So I think there are a couple of ingredients for innovation. The first ingredient of innovation is somebody who has bold enough courage to sort of take on a big challenge, right? That's very important. Second, extremely important ingredient of innovation is bringing a bright set of people together and making them work together, right? That's super important when we are working in this age of AI. Third is obviously funding, but like all of us agree, that's not really a challenge. Now, my controversial statement here is, should India build a LLM? Where should we operate? Is little different than how I see it, right? Because when you look at our growth spectrum in which we are compared to a first world country, there's always been a smartest kid in the class, aced IITs, gone to top IIM colleges, and then he's working at a McKinsey, right? That's one growth path. Second is, there is this bright kid, right, who is doing kick-ass work, who has done amazing stuff in his life, right? There's no right and wrong answer, right? But the important thing is, we have to be a practical country. We need to solve real problems, and there is always going to be this technological superiority for us to prove, but there has to be a right amount of rationality there, where I would say, did we create a Bharat OS back in the time? We did try. Is it really required? We can definitely show that we have the chops, but the point is, as a country, our goal should be to bring a lot of people up from poverty, become a huge economic engine, enable and use technology to advance it, and not prove technology for the sake of technology. Because I'm pretty sure we should be able to build a LLM if we put the right bright minds together. But the point is, if there is an open source model out there, which is my discussion about proprietary and open source model available, right? Pick it up, make it work for Indian languages, because there's a niche gap. Because I know a lot of companies which are focusing on African languages, which nobody wants to invest in their language, LLMs, but there's a niche space. There's going to be a business model available. We need to identify those areas where do we need to create an extremely regional specific, like I come from Telangana, right? There are multiple different languages, like how you are saying, every 50 miles, the language changes. But is there an economic value in doing that? We need to be really conscious about it, because we have a national language, we have an extremely widely adopted language. So where does the line stand on how can we use and invest our money and people to build value? And like how Shubhradeep is mentioning, there are 3 layers of application technology, right? Application layer, the enterprise agentic framework layer, and then the core technology layer. So in my opinion, at least we should put our money where it makes the right value, bring people up to achieve their maximum potential, and then do what is right. Definitely there has to be investments done to build the right LLM which has a right business model, but I don't think we need to prove a point to make a point.
Okay, I'm not sure if audience are more confused now or they have the clarity, but Okay, I think we, like all of us, have worked deeply into this space, and we can sit and talk entire day about this. However, in paucity of time, if it's okay with you, what I'll do is I'll do a quick rapid fire, 120 seconds each on the questions that I ask, and we go ahead. So, Arjun, let's start with you. Is it worth creating our own indigenous LLM capabilities, or we right now to start with piggy bank on whatever world is doing and they've already reached a space, and then take it up later?
Focus on value. If there is a value in creating a indigenous LLM, build it. Otherwise, fine tune something and then just move forward.
Excellent. Shubhradeep, how do we take care of some of the ethical, regulatory, vernacular, or cultural challenges when it comes across, putting in AI into place while keeping all of these in mind, especially in the India context?
Yeah, absolutely. I think here, as I said, I mean, the three key players, government, innovators, and the market play a key role, right? So none of them are detached from each other. So let's talk about the policy. If the policy is in the right place, it will enhance innovation. Abhishek ji was speaking about the Europe context. If you see, innovation is happening more in US than in Europe, primarily because of regulatory hindrance. Of course, I mean, saying that regulation is important, but has to play its role in an optimal way. Now, the key part here is that I think to a contrarian view that Arjun had put is that if my last mile person who probably does not know English only knows the local language, if I am able to make that person more productive by giving AI in his hands, I am successful to ensure that he has a better livelihood. Then then just thinking that if I have to cross a larger bridge to bring a open LLM which is built 1,000 miles away using the data and metadata of another country. So with that, I'll park this and probably leave it more open for further discussion.
So I'll come back on one of the topics to you back, but next one, and let's rapid fire for Anurag. How do you suggest we solve the upskilling and reskilling challenge that the AI revolution will create?
Okay, I think this has to be a fundamental part of our curriculum, and I think that there is a lot of government initiative and focus on that, so it has to start early. That's number one, in the schools. It's not just about software development, it's not just about programming or prompt engineering. I think a lot of people I see that think that AI is a great search tool. You know, I will type something and get an answer and that's it. I think it is much beyond that. There is so much data correlation, data analytics, learning which can happen using this, that we can make use of it. So in terms of, in the education cycle, I think in the industry or in the corporate, there are I would say that even our corporate executives are now AI certified. So the decision is AI influenced, which means that if you are not thinking about the optimization of the cost or acceleration of the speed or the quality improvements, the decision is not taken. So it has to go at each layer, become a part and parcel of the upskilling across the board, Nitin. That's what I would say.
Excellent. Shubhradeep, coming back to you on what you said, it is very good to have we have that kind of data available, but then data privacy and security is becoming a huge challenge, and especially with AI coming into place, we don't want movies like Terminator to become a reality, right? And I was just reading it the other day somewhere that the time is very close when my refrigerator would know more about my smart refrigerator would know more about my eating habits than my wife. So how do we ensure that we have that data available, what is required for AI? Because I think since morning we've been listening, it is very, very obvious that it all works on the kind of data that we have. But at the same time, maintain that privacy and security. Quickly.
Yeah, I think very important question, and I think very important perspective for all of us sitting, not only us, not only you, but every one of us, right? So one of the key thing is that how many of you, while you install an app, read through the complete agreement and then say accept? How many of you do that? That's a challenge.
There's a old saying in the financial industry that if you start reading the entire loan document and agreement, the loans would vanish from the face of the earth.
Agreed. So I think this is one important perspective where I want to probably park the discussion and say that, okay, you have this agreement as the only way to tell your customer what they are giving to you in the app. Hopefully, if there is a regulation which simplifies this agreement down for the user, and it tells you what you are sharing, how much of your data you have already shared, right? And you are given the consent, the will, or probably the complete right to say that, okay, forget me, right? Then you have the power. So ideally, it is that this data which you own, you should be having the power, and that's where policy, the private and the government players should come together and probably help the users in this journey.
Excellent. I think that is a huge topic of debate, but I think what you said is right, that the onus lies on both sides of the table. And coming last but definitely not least, I have two questions, Arjun, for you. One is, since you are now part of a startup, and we've seen in past the example of Mangalyaan, which was made to land on Mars for a budget lesser than the movie Interstellar. So, if we apply the same logic here, what is your top three things that you would want to do to make India a superpower, or India a leader in this AI revolution, but at the same time keeping the cost low?
I think that's a great area to dive in, right? Because we are struggling with basic problems of healthcare, education, and skilling. So these are the three important fields where if AI can provide, like how Shubhradeep has mentioned, right? Like I am comfortable to share my healthcare data, where something which is more intelligent can tell me with precision, with extreme amount of knowledge about me and can treat me well, is going to be a game changer, where we will see a lot of maternal mortality reducing, infant deaths reduction, upliftment of people because of lack of healthcare facilities, penetration of healthcare into every nook and field of the country is going to be transformational. Second is being able to educate people in their language with the comfort of somebody always available at a phone call to give assistance is going to improve the cost, reduce the cost, and improve the intellectual capability of a country significantly. And the third is being able to skill and upskill oneself, right? Which is, we all acknowledge that AI is going to be a reality, and there has to be a skill-focused, job-oriented skilling that is much required for the field, where how do we train people for today to be able to do jobs for tomorrow? So that's super important, where AI can play a role in that. And that's where I would say as a country, it's very important from government to private players to play a role in creating an ecosystem where everybody plays their part to bring these equations up.
Completely agree, and I think I'll just in paucity of time, I'll summarize what we just discussed, and thank you so much, all three of you, for great insights. I'm sure audience would have benefited from it. So I just noted down a few things that we discussed, and I think India's position in the global AI race is definitely as one of the front runners, no doubt about it. And as the Additional Secretary in the morning also mentioned, government at least is not leaving any stone unturned to support India AI journey basically. But at the same time, we also need to be cognizant of the fact, and I think one of you mentioned also, is that the AI and LLM revolution per se is now not just the game for those who have deep pockets. So not just the Elon Musks of the world, but it is about people who can think strategically, who can do, as Arjun mentioned, smart resource allocation, and who are willing to experiment. And with India's heart and mind at right place at least at this point of time, I think we will be very, very good or well placed when we go into the AI journey. I personally think, and my takeaway from this is one, the human-centric aspect is very, very important, no doubt about it. And the real challenge is not whether AI will think like us. We don't want AI to think like us. We want AI to work critically with us as humans, and we work jointly towards solving the actual business problems. Wherein, as Anurag also mentioned, and I joked with him about it, it's not matter of just reducing the effort by 30%. It's matter of working smart. It's matter of what Abhishek Singh ji also said, doing the work of 3 developers by just 1 or 1.5 developer, so that we work smart along with AI, and AI enables us to do that. And what I asked Shubhradeep also earlier, and I just got recalled by Sam Altman almost 2 years ago was asked a question in the Indian startup conference that whether India can build a foundational model trained on vast database and capable multiple applications for $10 million. And he said that completely hopeless. It is not possible. But honestly speaking, what I see personally is that we are going to beat OpenAI at their own game in next 2 years to come. And maybe I'm being a bit generous about 2 years, because we've seen the kind of compute that we are factoring for in India, the kind of money that we are putting in, the kind of startups that are coming in, as Arjun and Shubhradeep also mentioned. So many startups focusing on this. So I think we have a long journey and a very fruitful journey. Before we end and move on to questions, I'll just leave with 2 thoughts that I personally feel that, and I being a father of 2 teenage daughters, I feel that AI governance is like parenting a teenager. You can't predict what they will do next, but you can always put the house tools in place so that you are ready for surprise and not for a shock. So with that, let me open the floor for any questions if they have, and thank my panelists for such an insightful session.
Thank you. May I request you to kindly present the mementos to our speakers. Apologies to the delegates. Any questions to the panelists you can take off stage. Okay, that's Sonali presenting it to the moderator. Thank you. And may I request now our moderator to be kindly presenting it to our panelists. Oh, anyways, let Sonali do the honors. Okay, both of you can join, Sonali and the moderator. अमन को देना था सब कुछ. Thank you. And thank you to Mr. Arjun.